Joining me right now, GOP political strategist, co-founder of MustReadTexas.com, which the Must Read Texas morning email, I noticed, is back and being sent out to everybody this morning. Matt, welcome back. How are you?
Hey, Chad. I'm great. Thanks so much. How are you?
Doing well. Got your email this morning, and you included in it one of the races that I think a lot of people in the state will be watching, and that is the race between with Will Hurd in it, Representative Hurd.
Right. This is one of the five, I'd say, U.S. most hotly contested U.S. House races in the country. It has set a record for the state of Texas as the most expensive race in the history of the state, which is truly extraordinary since it is mostly a rural district that takes in South Texas and West Texas. It only has a sliver of Northwest Bexar County and San Antonio. This House seat has flipped back and forth 3 or 4 times in the last decade or so. Ciro Rodriguez held it, Henry Bonilla held it, Kiko Canseco held it, Pete Gallego held it, and now Will Hurd holds it. So that's one a lot of people are watching, and Will Hurd is really a rising star at the national level. He got a lot of attention when he sharply questioned FBI Director Jim Comey 6 weeks ago or 8 weeks ago, whenever that was. This is the question is, can a Republican hold that district in a presidential year? Because it appears a Democrat cannot hold the district in a non-presidential year. So this is an important race.
Is there anything that we can take away from early voting to indicate how this race will go between Hurd and Gallego?
A few points I think there. First of all, this is a district that Romney won with 51% 4 years ago. So it shows that, a Republican that runs a good campaign can win there. Obviously, I think, Trump has not run the kind of campaign that would attract Hispanic voters in anywhere near the way maybe Romney did. And of course, Romney, pretty much failed nationally in that effort. This is a 70% Hispanic district. So to some extent, Hurd is swimming upstream. But I would say, he's raised over $4 million himself. He's worked himself to death the last 2 years. He's sponsored or co-sponsored 10 different bills that get out of the House, a number of which President Obama signed. And so he's done a really good job, in 2 years in Congress, doing consequential things that the constituents have seen. And he's gotten a lot of help. Speaker Paul Ryan was in San Antonio helping him. Ohio Governor John Kasich. There's a Get Out the Vote rally tonight in San Antonio with Governor Greg Abbott. Hurd is, this is really the only truly competitive congressional seat in Texas of the 36 that we have. This is the only one that's competitive, and Hurd is definitely a rising star as a former CIA agent, former Texas A&M student body president during the bonfire collapse, former cybersecurity expert, and of course an African-American and young congressman. He's certainly someone who's a rising star. So it'll be interesting to see whether he can swim upstream. My guess is he does win. I think that they're doing a great job in this campaign, and Gallego is not as strong as he was 2 years ago, but we'll have to see.
I think that a lot of people are also going to keep an eye on Texas. The popular narrative has been that Texas is a toss-up state, that Texas is a purple state. I don't know if anyone really bought into that, but at least the news media has had fun with that. What do you think the final results look like for Donald Trump in Texas?
Yeah, and I'm sorry, you asked about early vote too, so let me try to answer that as well.
Sure.
We have seen pretty significant early vote numbers across the state. We're not going to be at 40% or 50% in Texas. We're going to be above that. 65% will have early voted based on just the trends that we've seen. I think there are some worrying trends in urban counties, particularly in Dallas and Harris County. I think Trump's going to lose those counties pretty massively, and that's going to have down ballot repercussions. But look, I generally think Trump is going to win this. I was saying 6 to 8 points a few weeks ago. I now think it's going to be more than 10 points that Trump will win Texas by. You got to remember the Democrats are just simply not doing anything in Texas that anyone can see. They registered some voters, but they have to do that because newly registered Democratic voters generally don't vote. Only about 40 or 45% of them generally vote. So they have to roll up huge numbers in newly registered voters to have a chance. Hillary is not providing any air cover statewide. There's no television that's running statewide, no radio. You just don't see a lot of activity on the Democratic side, and Hillary hasn't needed Texas. So there's no question when Trump was at his low point, let's say 3 or 4 weeks ago, that the race in Texas was trending away from him and it was getting close to the margin of error. But Republicans have come home to Trump. He's now above 85% of Republicans. I think nationally, the last poll I saw had him at 88%. So I do think he's going to win Texas. There's 4 or 5 or 6 state house races that'll be interesting and that we'll need to watch and could go either way.
Matt, what is your overall prediction for election night? That includes not only presidential election, but your thoughts on the Senate as well.
Yeah, it's really dicey making predictions because, boy, it's kind of head versus heart here to some extent. I do think Hillary is going to win. I wasn't sure of that a few days ago, but I'm increasingly sure now. I think Hillary's going to win Nevada, and I think with Nevada that requires Trump to not just win the other big 4 states, Florida, Ohio, North Carolina, and Iowa, but it then requires him to go win 2 blue states, not just 1. I think there's a chance she wins Florida, although my guess is Trump will narrowly win Florida. I think he'll win North Carolina. I think he'll win Ohio and Iowa, although Matthew Dowd predicted that Hillary will win Ohio yesterday, and I try not to disagree with Matthew Dowd. He's pretty experienced and knows what he's talking about. So at the end of the day, I just think Hillary ends up with 300 or 320 electoral votes. She just has too many paths to get there, and I just think Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, New Hampshire, Michigan, those are all really a stretch. Trump may surprise in one state or another, but he has to basically run the table everywhere else to have a path. But we'll see. There's this idea that there's a silent, majority or a hidden Trump vote that's out there. He certainly has more enthusiasm among his supporters than Hillary does. So I think we should expect the unexpected on election night. But I'd be really surprised if Hillary loses. As it relates to the Senate, I think that's going to be really, really close. And keep in mind, Democrats, if they have the White House, only need 50 senators, not 51. So, my guess is Republicans are going to very, very narrowly hold a majority, but I think it's one seat, one way or the other. It's going to come down to New Hampshire, Pennsylvania, and Nevada. Those 3 Senate races are going to decide who has the majority, and they're all razor-thin margins right now.
Matt Mackowiak, appreciate your time today. Tell folks what they can find on mustreadtexas.com today.
Yeah, obviously, we're previewing all these races around the state. Lots of 2 new columns up this morning from Peggy Fekak and Ross Ramsey that are worth reading. A story about Ted Cruz and what he's doing down ballot, helping Republicans in Texas. You can find all the top news, editorials, and opinion columns at mustreadtexas.com.
All right. As always, Matt, appreciate your time, and we'll talk to you later on.
Have a good week. Take care.
You too. It's Matt Mackowiak.